Little update on the turbo car. I got everything back together. She was running, and we decided to do a cam swap. So I'm gonna put a sloppy stage 2 in there. Changing the valve springs right now. Got all of them changed, all except for the back two. So Marshall's over there tuning. I'm trying to feed this string up inside the spark plug hole to hold the valves up so I can take these valve springs off. Seems to work pretty good. My back's killing me from bending over. Marshall's over there tuning for his car. Try to get all these done today. It's what, 7 o'clock now? We got till 9 to work on it. 7:30. So one side's done. I gotta do this side. Alright, so here's what I'm doing. I fed that string into the hole. Now, I'm just going to take this and put it on that. Turn it until solid thud. Then that's how I know I got the piston all the way up, so I can take these valve springs off and the valves won't fall down inside the cylinder. So. Alright, we're getting close here. Doing the same thing on this. Just 2 more cylinders to go. Good buzz. Marshall's over there doing his tuning on his car. He's got his ethanol percentage off or something he said in his tune, so he's gotta change it to that. I think he says E70 instead of E85. But he's doing that and I'm doing this. Get this tube out there. Alright, I started the pulling her apart. Took the throttle body off already and took the serpentine belt off. It looks like to me that pulley is not going to come off easy. We thought it was, but when I get here looking at it, I think that turbo, the hot side's going to be right in the way. But I might be able to just loosen it up and kind of let it sag a little bit. Might be able to get by with that. We'll try and see. Hopefully that's the case. But sure would make it a whole lot easier. So I'm gonna continue pulling the water pump off of them bolts. Alright, water pump is off. Now, see if I can get this son gun off. I'm trying to break that bolt loose. Obviously I'm not going to try this little ratchet, but I was trying to find something I could wedge down through here somehow against the bottom of the motor there to keep that from spinning. But then I'll get this adjustable breaker bar we got here and try backing it off there. I'm not going to go into too much details. If you want to see more about it, Marshall's got a video of a full build of an LS teardown, so if you wanted to see some of that, it's on the channel. I'm gonna hopefully I can get that pulley off there. It's awful close though, so we'll see.
Alright, Austin's taking the cam out. We're trying to. So I don't know how much in detail he went on these springs, but
Not really, because I told him if you wanted that, you have a whole video of a whole fully boiled in the motor.
usually what I do, these LS heads, they're a little bit different than what I'm used to working on small block Chevy. So on this side, it's exhaust intake, exhaust intake, intake, exhaust intake, or no, I'm sorry, I messed up. Exhaust intake, exhaust intake, exhaust intake. exhaust, intake. And on the other side, it's intake, exhaust, but you can just line the ports up. I mean, it's pretty easy to line the ports up. See, that one lines up with the exhaust port, I think. Yeah, see like that? See the exhaust port right there? It lines up with this valve, so that's the exhaust valve. But anyway, you got intake, compression, power, exhaust. Intake. So it goes, so the exhaust is open and it'll close, and then the intake on the rocker arms, we'll push this spring down, the exhaust, it'll go all the way down, it'll come back up. As it starts to come all the way closed, this one will start opening, it'll go down, it'll come up. Once the intake valve closes, that means your piston's all the way down. It's getting ready to come up to do the compression stroke. So that's when I usually put the string in it. And you don't really have to do it that way. But that just tells me the piston's down in it. And I know I can get my string in there. So then I put the string in, then I turn the motor over until I can't turn it over no more. And I use that.
I kind of told them how I done it.
Did you put that, what'd you do with that string?
I put it back where I got it.
But it's just string I got from the dollar store.
I got videos of it.
And I don't know, we stick about 5 feet of that string up in there. And yeah, turn it over. It compresses the valves. That way, when you take your springs off, the valves won't fall down in there.
I had to pull my turbo off.
And we just use that little thing that screws in there. You screw it all the way in, back it out a little bit, and a little bar, it rests right there, and you tighten the nut up on that bar, and it pushes the spring down. But problem he's having now is we can't get that balancer off because his downpipe is in the way, and his turbo is not easy to take off.
No.
So he's having to loose a bunch of stuff just so we can get that balancer off there. And then balancers, that nut don't come off easy either, so I'm sure we're gonna have to fight with that. Torquing them things on is a ridiculous amount.
The turbo dropped right there.
I just don't understand why that bolt has to be that tight. I know it pushes the oil pump back, but yeah. And Brandon's here now. Brandon's shifter broke. When we lifted the body off the car, I said, Brandon, watch making sure nothing gets a hold of nothing. Next thing you know, it grabbed a hold of the shifter cable, and I guess it bent it, and it messed the shifter cable up. So we're gonna have to figure that
I
out.
wonder if it's enough. Look.
That might do it. That might do it.
Far over.
How many times you trying to bloody up your hand there? Let me see what you got. Look here.
I smashed it. Look, I smashed the dirt right off my finger.
Blood, sweat, and tears. All right.
Dad always says if you're not bleeding,
It's worse than cutting it.
Yeah, but just take the intake ducting off, the belt, power steering,
Work on
the water pump,
it.
throttle body, radiator hoses. You probably didn't have to take the throttle body off, but
I just did anyways.
give you a little bit more room. And then after that, when you take this, God, I can't think of nothing today. When you take this timing cover off, there's 2 bolts that come straight up from the oil pan and into the timing cover down here at the bottom. There's one right there, and there's one right there. Do not forget those, and try to pry that timing cover off her, because you will break it. But yeah, and the rest of them are just, you know, bolts around the perimeter. Just don't forget these. They come straight up the bottom. But yeah, we're gonna. And taking these balancers off, man, it's a pain in the butt. You got to kind of wedge something in there and hope you don't break whatever you're wedging it on the other side, and take an impact to it, or take a big breaker bar to it. That bolt is a nightmare. And oh yeah, you're supposed to replace that bolt anytime you take it out. I know a lot of people that don't. They never had any issues, but you're supposed to. All right, so we got the bolt out. We did sketchy stuff on that.
That worked.
We put that impact socket on there, put it on that breaker bar, and then we lean that breaker bar up against the frame over there and smack the starter, and it come right loose. didn't come loose on the first try.
Maybe it did, and it just fell off.
No, it didn't. I checked it.
Oh.
I think it broke it loose, but then the breaker bar and the socket fell off, and I put it back on there, and we did it again, and it come right off. Them starters ain't no joke. Probably not the best safe way to do that, but that's what we did, and it worked. So now we're just putting the little harmonic balancer
Way
puller
easier than
on
what
it.
we have been doing.
Yeah. Yeah, last time it was we stuck a tire iron through one of the holes on the bouncer and then back up here against the block and stuff. But that's kind of dangerous, man, because you're liable to break your oil pan or your timing cover or anything like that. And
This is what the tire and iron came out as.
yeah. And then, you know, a couple of us big boys with that breaker bar and a jack handle for the big jack over there, laid in on it, and it finally broke loose. But I tell you what, it wasn't easy.
I think I'm on our
But the starter, son, it knocked it right off
Man, don't play no games.
like nothing. So yeah, I just wouldn't stand in this area while you're doing that. Something liable to fly out and smack you in the head. You knew that was broke. Austin grabbed hold of that cabinet door and he knows it's broke. He about fell leaning on it. Oh, good times. Alright, so we're going to get that off with the pulley. That pulley has a rod that goes up in the hole where the bolt went. These 3 prongs, they hook on these little ledges. There's ledges back here. You'll see it when you look in there. And then you just tighten it up and it pulls the pulley right off. It's kind of tough at first, and once it comes so far,
Can you feel it moving?
yep, it's moving good.
Okay.
Can you hear that clicking stuff?
Yeah.
It's about to hit you down top.
Well, it's loose, so.
Break the door handle off and I stick the nail in my leg.
Oh, the nail from the door. We should have got that on video where we was bringing my 5.3 in and the wind hit the carport garage door and slung into her, about knocked her over.
Yeah.
Anything's bound to be off there.
I think you're hitting it. But yeah, this is how you take it out. But oh yeah, it's about to come. See? Come on out here. See, now you can see those ledges it grabs on in the back. There's one in each hole.
See the end of it.
See, and that sticks out another inch. See, so I was right. It goes about 2 inches. You almost say that. Yeah, you can pull it off. If it wasn't in a bind,
Let me pull out on this turbo and see if you can.
no, you got it. It's out. Now, once we get that pin out, it'll fall right out. And we'll take the timing cover off. There's just a few bolts on the outside, and them 2 bolts that come straight up from the pan into the timing cover. Take those out. That's the timing cover off. Don't even try to take your oil pump off, because there's an oil pickup tube that goes in the bottom of there. It's got a sealing ring on it, and you'll never get that back in there. You might be able to get, I just don't even mess with that. And these timing chains, they do have slop in them. Even the new ones do. So if you're used to working on a small block Chevy where there's barely any slop, and you work on these and you'll see, oh my God, there's a bunch of slop. But yeah, he took the cam retaining plate bolts out. He took the timing cover bolts out, the 2 from the very bottom. We're going to leave the timing chain and the gear on it. There's a mark on that chain, which he should have lined up before he popped all that off there, but it ain't no problem trying to line it back up. He's putting the push rods in it right now just to make sure the lifters stay up, just so he can see what it's doing, but he's just putting those in so he can see what's happening. But we're going to turn it over and hopefully the lifters will stay in the tray. If they don't, we're going to put 5/16 wooden rods in these holes that'll be exposed once this comes off. Oh, right there. And these holes right here, and they'll push against the side of the lifter and they'll hold it up. We got these metal rods.
2 of them lifters is already up.
But that, if y'all saw in my other video, those metal rods, they didn't hold the lifter all the way up. I mean, the lifters fell down, we couldn't even pull the cam out. So we wound up, it kept the lifters from falling in the motor, but it didn't keep the lifters.
See, that one's down up too.
Didn't keep the lifters from falling.
Push it down.
What? These rods right here.
That went down. No, these lifters are already up. Listen. Can you push it down?
Probably where you crank the motor over. It is where you crank the motor over. When we broke the starter loose.
Well, that's good. They're staying up though.
Broke that loose with the starter.
Yeah.
That put them up. Yeah. It's good that they stayed up, but yeah. But yeah, he's just. And when we broke the crank bolt loose with the starter and the breaker bar, it actually spun the motor and it actually slung the lifters up inside the lifter trays, and those are new lifter trays. They just replaced those not too long ago when they put LS1 head gaskets on it.
We'll see what happens. Yeah.
So spin it around. You can tell.
None of them are
See if the lifters, if the push rods are moving up and down, that means the lifter trays isn't holding on to them.
None of them are they?
And none of these are moving up and down. So that means the lifters are staying in the lifter trays. But now we're going to stick these wooden rods in there, and they're going to press against the side of the lifter and the side of the block, and
5/16.
and keep it from dropping. These are 5/16 wooden rods. They're like,
break it here or cut something.
well, get that. There's that saw over there, that wooden saw.
I'm gonna make it a little long just to be safe.
You cut it right in the middle. You need 2 of them.
We've got 2 sticks.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I just wanted to be safe.
Yeah, if you got 2 of them, definitely. You gotta pull it and get it started.
It is started. It's just everything I'm doing it on legal.
Shoot, it might have been better with that hacksaw blade.
Might still be too long. Still think it's way too long.
Mm-hmm. There you go. We went through there. Now, it shouldn't be easy to push that in there. See, there's a little tightness there to it. Let's see. See, and there's a little drag where it holds the lifters up.
That was a little long.
And we'll put the other one in the other side. And then we'll pull the cam out.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Unless you're having it up there.
Live action. Go, Austin, go. And you can use your water pump bolts. And then you can pull her right out of there. There's these big cam lobes that line up with the cam bearings. Don't try to pull that out of there real fast and knock your cam bearings out. Just be nice and gentle. Nice and easy. And then you got to line them all up again. Nice and gentle. Then you got to line the journals up again. Nice and gentle. He's just trying to get past the lobes on the cam right now. The lobes on the cam will sometimes hit. You just gotta wiggle and pull and wiggle and pull, and you don't want to pull hard. Just light wiggle and pull.
A little up and down action helps.
Yeah.
Try to raise it back into the cam up.
And just like that. One more lobe and she's out. Uh-oh. Gotta take our screws out. The screws made it too long. It's hitting the
fan, which I could just kind of go to the left
no,
of
it's
it.
hitting the horn. Or no, it's you just got a front forward facing fan. Hit the fan. And there we go. Hey, where's the gear on the back of that cam? Not a small block Chevy, Marshall. There we go. And then we'll stab the other one in the same exact way after we lube it up a little bit.
Hammer.
We're just going to lube her up real good with some simile lube.
We don't have much, but
We don't have a lot, but
enough.
that'd be enough, yeah. Yeah. Be good enough.
I think I can get it back down there with them on there already.
I bet you can.
And this is a sloppy stage 2 cam. Supposed to be.
Supposed to be. It might just be missing.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be some crap?
Is there no markings on it? Usually it's got markings on it.
I don't see no markings.
Back here there is.
But it did have bigger valve springs, so.
Yeah, there's a number there. Can you see it?
2871. And up there it says
Let me see if I can zoom in on it.
80-8.
Wait a minute, I had it. I was zooming in, dude.
I told you what it said.
Is that a 7?
Yeah. Which one?
I don't know.
It is a, it says, it was upside down, 2871P.
Well, we'll Google that. 2871P.
Yes, sir.
Is that what it was? Alright, same thing putting this thing in. Of course, you want the bolt holes in the front here. Where'd that come from?
Maybe her hand or something, I don't know. And one of them lobes are sharp.
There we go, nice and easy. Line up the lobes. His bearings had a little wear too.
Hey, we don't
These LS motors like to wear the cam bearings, man. I don't know what that's about.
We don't want to talk about that though.
Them 23-degree small block Chevys, you put a set of cam bearings in them, you don't ever have to worry about them again. They don't ever go out.
We're talking 200,000
These
miles here.
LS1 cam bearings, I mean, they're something else. I ain't never seen a war. I've looked at 400-mile small block Chevy motors. I ain't never seen a cam bearing worn. That last one's a little tricky. There we go, and it's in. And then we just put the cam retaining plate back on. Supposed to put a new one of those back on too, because there is a little seal thing on them. You're actually supposed to change those.
Good thing I bought one.
See that?
This is what my
That's
hands
actually helps seal it. Right there. I think it. We'll put the timing. Well, we'll get the cam retaining plate on there. Tighten it down, and then we'll line up these cam marks. So there are a couple of different differences in the covers. These, see how it's flat and see how that's countersunk? These countersunk ones, you have to use a countersunk bolt. Where's the bolt? Oh, knocking me out. So you have to use a countersunk bolt. They go in there just like that. And then you use an Allen to tighten those up with. And then the other bolts were just these.
The ones before, the other one are can bolts.
Yeah, but they're pretty much all the same. But anyway, so that's the difference in those. Make sure that if you have a countersunk top, that you use the countersunk bolts. Oh, see, this one's actually a little bit thicker.
That's what I was wondering.
That's the reason why. Because if this sticks out too far, it'll hit the back of your timing gear. That wouldn't be fun. Yeah.
I guess I'm pulling rods out now.
And out come the rods. Oh, remember you want
You want to
scratching his hands all to pieces.
You want to keep them?
Yeah,
Soon?
definitely.
Make them handy.
Hopefully they never will again.
We have all LS cars now.
But they will.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see.
You'll see the bottom bolt hole, it's a little oblong. So that tells me right there you want to snug up the top 3 first. And then the middle one, it's kind of, the middle bottom one, it's oblong. So
I'm going to start them all.
yeah, but I'd have them top 3 hit the countersunk part before I find out that last one. But anyway, that cam retaining plate does exactly what it says. It keeps the cam from flying out. On flat tappet cams, the lobe is designed in such a way that it keeps the cam in place. It tries to push it towards the back of the motor, but on the roller cams you don't get that luxury, so you have to have a plate or a cam button or something. Like on Christopher's car, we did a roller cam, we had to do a cam button between the cam and the timing cover so it wouldn't walk forward on us. So yeah, we'll get that tightened up and then we'll go over the timing marks here in a little bit. Timing gear has a dowel pin that it goes into, but now what you got to do is you got to put the chain on first. Well, the first thing we have to do is turn the motor over. One of these teeth has a little mark in it, has a little round circle on it, and then one of these teeth have a circle in it too, somewhere. Let me take this back off.
If we can find a mark on a chain, it'd be a whole lot easier to spin a cam.
There it is, right there. Oh, I got off the camera, didn't I? Zoom in. Yeah, I reckon it's that one right there. That mark right there. So in the crank sprocket, there'll be one just like it. And you have to line those up. And the kicker is, you have to try to line it up and put this on there with the chain on it at the same time. And sometimes it's a pain in the butt. And you'll not get it right the first time. Usually what I do is, I don't know about on LS, but on a small block Chevy, this will be right there, usually. Yeah, look at there. Same way. So, that dowel pin's about at the 3 o'clock position. Now, what I usually do is I bring this down a little, just like that. And then I get this mark straight and face straight up. And then I put the timing gear on there with that mark pointed down. And then I get the dowel pin started and then I pull it up. And usually I hit it just about every time, like that. And it goes straight on. Because when you're trying to put this on at an angle like this on this straight dowel pin with it all lined up, it just don't want to go. But there is a lot of slop in these chains, so it may go. But first we got to turn the motor over and find that mark. The first thing we got to do. Alright, so I guess that's the mark right there.
Yep.
I'm going blind in my old age, so I can't really see it. I guess that's it. That'll be right on the front of the tooth. Alright, we're going to line that straight up and down. Alright, so where these LS chains are so loose, it did just slide right on there. The hardest part was getting the pin, because you can't see back there, getting the pin lined up in the hole. But yeah, there you go. I don't know if y'all can see it or not.
Now I need to push over your part.
See that round mark on there?
That's mine.
Yep.
Oh, well,
And then line straight up
We got
with this round mark. Tooth to tooth. It's not exactly lined up because it's not turned over in the exact spot. If you turn it over, the bottom go to the left and the top go to the right. See, there we go. See, and that's it. It's just really hard to see that mark. No, there it is. Yeah, see it good now. Yep, that's it. Line them up, mark the mark. And you're supposed to use new cam bolts too and tighten those up. There is a torque on all this stuff. I'll be honest with you, the only thing I ever torque is the head bolts, the rod and the main bolts. Everything else I just kind of tighten up, but that's not the right way to do it. So look up your torque specs and torque them. And we'll probably do that on these.
How we on?
Use Loctite on those. There's some Loctite in there.
Right.
But definitely use some Loctite on them because you definitely don't want those bolts to come out. So we are going to put Loctite on them. But yeah. And then we put the timing cover back on. We'll use a little dab of RTV here in the corners. We'll put that back on and tighten it back up. Let's put everything back together in reverse order. Alright, we Loctited the cam bolts and tightened them up. We cleaned off the gas material for the water pump. Might as well do that while you're here. It's good to put a rag down here so nothing falls down in there. And then we're going to put our TV in the corners there. We're going to put the gasket on, brand new gasket. Making sure all of our surfaces are nice and clean. And we're going to throw the timing cover on. When you tighten the timing cover up, you want to do like you want to make sure it's pushed all the way down on the oil pan. And then you want to tighten it up in a crisscross pattern so not to warp anything. So we'll put that on there and we'll tighten that up. Alright, since putting the exhaust on this side, he had a hard time getting the manifold on and the gasket on and the header for the V-band for the turbo and all this fun stuff. But we got the timing cover back on and all the bolts are tightened up, brand new gasket. We put silicone right in the corners, and the oil pump gasket comes out the front, so that seals it on the front. Did you push the timing cover down when you tighten them bolts up?
Yeah.
So you kind of want to push down on the time, get the bolt started, and then kind of push down on this so it seals on the oil pan gasket, and then start tightening the bolts up. Then you will have a leak in the tank. But yeah. Moving right along. So on this one right here, when we lifted the body off the car, the shifter cable got stuck on the transmission cross member, and it broke it in a couple of places and bent the bracket. We thought we could fix it just by fixing it where it slides into the bracket, but we fixed that part and found out it was broke somewhere else too. So he's gonna have to have a completely another cable for it to go in gear. And this thing, it never had the oil pressure sensor hooked up, so we don't even know what the oil pressure is. And we've been messing with it, just trying to tune it and stuff. But I showed him what sensor to buy, and I got a couple of harnesses in here left over from a couple of cars that we had. So we took the connectors off those, and once he gets the 1-wire oil pressure sensor, he's going to put that in. And I'm going to hook it in under the dash so it'll read the gauge, so at least we'll have an oil pressure gauge. But yeah, that's where we're at on that one. But it is tuned good enough to drive now. I don't think his wideband's reading right because it reads way too fat. No matter, I'll take so much fuel out of it, it won't even run. And it's and you barely add any back and it's still reading fat. Those sensors for those AM gauges, I forget, Ugo and whatever those sensors are, they foul out really easy. So I don't know, even on mine and Chris's car, I've been through 4 or 5 of them. But I'm going to put my sensor on there because I know it's reading right. And then we're going to try to tune it a little bit more. Plus I've been watching more videos on the micro squirt. We're going to try a few different things. That's where we're at on that one. Got mine parked back here behind the carport with Christopher's, because those cars are done. They're ready to go. They're ready to roll.
What do you think?
So Austin put all the exhaust back on, and the whole reason we took that exhaust off was to get the balancer off. He forgot to put the balancer back on. So now he's having to take all that crap all back off just so we can get the balancer back on.
I ain't taking the info back off.
Well, you will if you can't get it on there.
It don't move right now. So,
Well, see what happens.
I'm gonna take it out of the bolt loose over there.
So this video is running a little long, so we're just going to end it right there. But basically, just put everything back on in reverse order, and we'll get some startup and idle videos for y'all. And like and subscribe, and have a great day.